Hello, everyone. Great to see you all out there on a Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Florida State Seminoles football talk for the next 60 minutes. Big Game James is here. Love seeing you here. Thanks for being here, James. Of course, Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day. And we've got a little maintenance work going on up there in the right corner. Don't know what that's all about.
No, sorry, guys. I apologize real quick. I was just like the Florida State basketball team does when they played Miami. I just was doing a little sweeping. That's all. Just basically had to do that real quick.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's kind of getting tiring beating Miami so much at basketball, at baseball, at football. But actually, before we get into this, and I want to be serious for one moment, all joking, all kidding aside, I know we're going to joke around a little bit, but I do want to be serious for a second. I do want to extend sympathies on behalf of Logan, on behalf of James, and I guess on behalf of Mark a little bit to three people. Jim Larinaga, the head basketball coach at the University of Miami, Gino Damari, the head baseball coach at the University of Miami, and Mario Cristobal, the new head football coach at the University of Miami, because as evident of late, they all like to take L's from Florida State. I believe in baseball, they haven't beat us since 2019. Basketball, they haven't beat us since about 2016 or 2017. Even Mario was on hand at the basketball game to take his first L of 2022 against Florida State. Hopefully he takes another one come football season. But it will get better, Miami fans. Trust me. You will eventually beat us someday again. It's not happening this year. But someday maybe soon, someday maybe in 5 years, who knows? You will eventually beat us again. But just take your L's, embrace your L's, and just remember, it's not about the U at all.
James, what do you have to say to that? Are you regretting coming back?
No, I missed you guys. I've been really wanting to, I have a hard time turning down money. Logan, as No Game Day continues to grow, Logan will, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, but Logan's going to experience this really, really soon. When you turn it, it's this thing called an audit, and they're not fun. And it either requires me to pay what they think I owe, or pay somebody that's smarter than me to tell them that I don't owe them that. So I have to work. But it's all good. I'm happy to be here. Miss you guys. Hey, Mark, I was creeping on your timeline, and I saw you got I don't want to call him crazy because I actually think he's brilliant actually in how he's built his brand. The guy from Ohio State, former coach, Urban's
Zach
boy.
Smith.
Yeah, Zach Smith. I saw you got him on a couple times, man. Kudos.
Yeah.
I didn't get him on. He tracked me down.
Well,
that's even bigger. My bad. Excuse me. First and foremost, I apologize because you're the big deal in this situation, not Zach Smith. But that's awesome, though. I was just like, dang. And the only reason I saw, actually, you know what? I wasn't stalking your page. Zach Smith got into it with the guy that I actually enjoy getting into it with. Very brilliant, very smart, very opinionated, awesome. I think he does a good job at what he does. And Bud Elliott. Bud apparently blocked Zach for some reason. It was awesome. It was just like Zach threw a tantrum. It was great. It was great entertainment. I believe it was Monday when I saw that, but it was awesome.
Well, I saw that you retweeted my post with Zach, and I thought, man, James is retweeting that. I wonder why he's so interested in Zach Smith. Well, to be accurate, I'm not going to pump myself up artificially. It was really neither. A viewer that enjoys both of us had Zach reach out to me and said, you need to be on Mark Rogers' show. I really like him, watch it, and so forth. And so I want you to be on Mark Rogers' show. And so Zach then reached out to me.
Well, I'm a fan of what Zach's built. I don't listen to his podcast. I've listened to a couple of the one where this isn't the most glamorous one, but when he was he had to go book himself for some past troubles or some alleged accusations, and he did his podcast from inside, and I thought that was awesome. Great timing. Everything is content when you're making your money that way. But I love what he's built. I also love what you built on this channel, and I just want to say kudos to that. I also missed Jason and my dear friend Logan, who steals my ideas without knowing that he stole my ideas. So no, it's not his fault. It's like not his fault, but it was a great get for, and hopefully you can keep this quarterback committed to us because I'm tired of losing. I haven't been. Was I on? After we lost Travis Hunter.
I don't think
I
so. No,
wasn't.
no way.
think so.
No. It's been a
No.
minute.
Oh wow, yeah.
Even
So like,
Jason has had a time off too. It's
I
just
did.
been me and Mark.
I had some vacation days, so I had to take some time off. But you know what, James? James actually
anything to prevent us from losing another top recruit
correct.
is
Yeah.
I'm for it.
But
We're
James
trying. We've had bad luck though. Last time we did a journal, it was with Luke Altmaier, and that didn't obviously work out too well.
James
Oh,
actually
Yeah.
actually just made a good point though. James made a good point that we need to get more coaches and more stuff on the show. So let me hear it. Hold on a second. Siri, call Willie Taggart.
Oh man, damn!
Willie
No.
might have a lot of time on his hands
Ooh.
after
No.
this season. So
He's not there.
Siri.
Boca.
Siri, call Willie. Okay, we'll get back to that later. We'll get back
Yeah,
to that
yeah.
later.
See if you can figure that out for us.
We'll get back to
I think that would be phenomenal content. Mark is all for it. That's the views right there.
Oh man, if we could get Willie Taggart
I
on,
don't trust Logan within 12
Absolutely.
miles of Willie Taggart. I don't trust him. I'm sorry.
I do not hate Willie Taggart.
And I don't hate
Willie.
Mike Norvell, okay?
See,
Let's
we
just-
meet in the
let's just
middle.
Get this out there.
I would kill to hang out with Willie Taggart. Like I think that would be a really good time.
Well,
I think we would click right away. I
come-
just don't know about football.
Come south of Daytona Beach. There's a whole
All right.
state of Florida down here. We'll get you to Boca. We'll get you to FAU.
Let's do it.
They're a nice stadium down there. I wish Florida State would play down here once in a while against them. So yeah, let's do this.
I say we do it.
if we do a home and home with FAU, I'm canceling my booster membership in any affiliation with Florida State.
What's worse, FAU or FIU? Which would be a worse?
Both.
one?
I'm not. This ain't the universe. Damn it! I wasn't coming here to be like Jason. This ain't UM. We don't do home and homes with
Hey,
The
yeah.
little guys.
James.
Yeah.
James, you just said it. Money talks.
Money.
If
I
they're
I
don't
don't think
okay,
they have it.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. if they
Anyways,
have
though,
the ability.
what are we doing there? Like,
good question. That's an excellent question.
Shooting
Let's
that.
figure it out.
Shooting
that is an
yes.
excellent question. What's the news of the week in Florida State football? What do we got, Logan?
I don't know if there's nothing much major than Benson officially being added to the roster. I mean, we kind of already knew about him, picking Florida State, but officially added to the roster. But I think the biggest thing here, and I think James will probably agree on it along with Jason, is that he's going to be enrolling early in the spring, which is, I think, huge for him, kind of getting the system down. Also being able to see, the biggest question is all about health, and obviously as it should be, but, he's now going to be enrolling and being able to participate in the spring. So that's one thing that I think the staff has done a pretty good job on, at least with this cycle, is getting a lot more guys than last year early enrolled so they can start understanding the system and really get with Coach Storms too and build on their bodies. But definitely for Benson, who needs to kind of get the system down. He's more of a power back and try to understand the system and see how that leg is feeling, man. To be able to see him in person for an extra couple months, I think will help. And but nothing too crazy this week except for Benson. James, what's your kind of thoughts on Benson? Because we talked about him last week, me and Jason did. But what are your thoughts on him? Because I know you're on the Twitter webs, you're in the Discords, so you know how it is. Social media wasn't happy about this one, but I'm interested to get your take on it coming from a actual former football player.
I mean, it's the craziest thing is that every year, like my parent, and I'm sure Mark, even though Mark is very good looking to be a little bit slightly older than us, but every year I'm realizing that time really does fly. And it was 20 years ago. This fall is when I enrolled. Well, I was enrolled in the summer, but I played my first games at Florida State. But I played with a guy by the name of Greg Jones. And Greg was a monster in 2002. Tore his ACL. Really, they think he tore it slightly after the Miami game. I remember Billy Sexton used to be like, "Yo, I wish," because he slapped fire out. I forgot who it was. It was a Miami defender. Hit him late, and he dropped his ass. It might have been Sean T. I don't know. Don't jump me. I just remember that. And the coach was like, "I wish the referee would have saw that to prevent him from playing against Wake Forest." And that's when he tore his ACL. So, like, I say that to say I've seen what happens when you can't come back a year after your ACL surgery. But he went to the GOAT when he was in his prime, James Andrews. And an ACL is nowhere near as devastating as what KZ had. But it's always interesting. People's rehabs are different, and statistically wise, he didn't really show much at Oregon, but that's why people transfer. The transfer portal is hit or miss. It's an amazing grab bag. You can reach in there and you can grab you a Joshua Corbin, or you can reach in there and I'm not picking on a young man. I wish the best for him, but you can get an Andrew Parchment, who I thought for sure would have been much more productive at Florida State outside of one play. Iconic as it may be, I thought he would have been better than that. So, but if he's got to make significant playing time this year, we're in a world of hurt. It should be Ward and DJ Williams. If I remember, I'm the young man from Auburn, who I like coming out of high school. I give Williams the nod because he's kind of got that same thing that Corbin had. Corbin's first year was average. Second year, last year, knocked it out the park. So hopefully he's more your power back. But if nothing else, he adds depth to a room that definitely needs it. But I like Coach Johnson, aka Yak. But hey man, it's about time to land a high school running back, bro. A real one, not a athlete, a real high school running back.
James, it was Sean Taylor. I just watched the video. Whenever
Greg was it after when Sean got him on the sideline?
I don't know. I just got this video here on FSU.
How the hell do y'all? I need you. I got there's 10 clips from my FSU career that I would really, really like to see. I've only seen 3 of them. I need the other 7. If you can find the touchdowns, Logan, please do. I just need to see those so I can show my son that I really did play.
You did do that.
You had the greatest moment ever, the touchdown against Miami in 2005. Arguably the greatest. I'd put it top 5 moments in Florida State history. There's the 3 national titles, James Coleman's touchdown, probably Janikowski kicked a field goal against NC State. Those are the top 5 moments I'd probably say in history of Florida State. But James, going back to what you're talking about, Florida State last.
I don't like injured players. My bad. Let me just last thing. Out of all the people in the portal, can we find people with 2 legs and 2 arms?
No, we like our lieutenant.
I don't like misfit toys. I don't like broken toys. Right, but yeah.
So, but question for you: this is obviously another running back that we're bringing in, and you can tell that we talked a little bit about this last week, and we talked about how there's been wide receivers who were committed to us or going to other schools and whatnot because they haven't seen Florida State being more of a passing offense. Do you wish Florida State would go out in the transfer portal and go out and get another wide receiver at this rate to maybe try to step up that passing game, or are you confident right now with us being a run-first offense as it appears on the surface?
I mean, I think we did. There was tons of rumors that we were trying to get Burt, and it's just very difficult to compete with Alabama. Like, just being real with yourself. Like, like if Nick Saban comes to my door, right, as much as my son loves Florida State, as a concerned parent, if Nick Saban came to my son's door and said, I want your son, and he's going to start next year, and like you're one of the missing pieces going to Alabama. I mean, it has nothing to do with my love and affinity. It's got everything to do with what's best for the kid.
Which school would you not send your son to? Which school would you not?
There's 2. Well, there's one that he's for. Let me rephrase it. When he's 18 years old, he can do whatever the hell he wants to do as an adult. That's his right. I have raised him. At 18, I've done as much as I can to impart wisdom and a sound mind to him. That being said, if he chooses to go to one school, he loses. Like he will be self-made when he can be like these rappers and say, my daddy ain't did nothing for me, because I'm legitimately pulling everything. I watch him, and I will only watch him play twice in his career live, and it'll be in Tallahassee. Another school he can go to, I don't really mind them as much because I almost went there.
Right.
But one school, he's absolutely not getting any inheritance if he goes to that school.
Say it. Say it. Spill it.
Oh, university. He could go to Florida if he wants to. He just can't come back home.
There we go.
The only time he can come back home is when he has my grandson. That's named James Anthony Coleman IV. Outside of that, I don't care how many kids he has. I have one grandson, and his name will be James Anthony Coleman IV. That's all he owes me. Once he gives me what he owes me, hey man, he'll get an inheritance. James Anthony Coleman the fourth, but the third, we're just gonna skip that on the on all of this set. But
It's good to
but
see it
yeah,
right from right.
I think you can only have so many receivers. You need a number one. So that's where Micah Pittman, Too Tall Jones, or whatever the hell the kid name is, 6'7" kid from Arizona State with like 4 catches. He's a good blocker. And then I think we bring in the kid from West Virginia, from Savannah, that's really good friends with Deloach. That should be the guy that he has to be your number one. He can't be what Parchment was. And you whisk in the other guys that we already have that I believe are good 2 and 3 wide receivers. Number 2 and 3 wide receivers. They just aren't number 1 wide receivers until they develop. But you can't. This is recruiting class 3. Mm-hmm. So we've had an opportunity to bring in 75 players. You can't keep making. You can't have the opportunity to bring in 75 players, and none of them were high school kids that you recruited and that you developed. So hopefully, in all of that, one of these guys, McLean, maybe one of these guys steps up and becomes that guy. But it has to be a run-first offense because of the offensive line that we have and because of what we have in Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis' strength is the fact that you have to account for his leg, and his arm is strong enough to be able to catch you deep. If you take away the accountability with his legs, you literally are limiting your offense for no reason, because I'm sure this young man is a great person. There's no aspect in my life in which I want to see Tate Rodemaker taking the field again. And Duffy is not ready. Mm-hmm. He's just he needs a year to learn and get those things right. So that's what you have in your quarterback room. If you try to make it a pass first offense, you're literally you're trying to get fired at this point. Mm-hmm. Because you're trying to make it harder than what it really, really is.
Logan, James was not making fun of the offensive line. Don't get sensitive.
I think the offensive line has gotten a lot better.
Jason's going to come after you.
They did get better, but they could have gotten much worse. I mean, you go from F to
it'll get slowly but sure. I think with the class that's coming in right now, this is do or die. The class that you got in, these hosses, I mean, if he goes declines, then there's a big problem. Then Coach Atkins, we're seeing some kind of off-season love, and then on field, it's not looking so great. But with the early enrollees coming in, I think people are sleeping on Sapp too. I mean, the way that body build, I think under Storms too, but really as a leader. And then also, like, a lot of people are, I don't think they're 50-50. They shouldn't be, because you're getting one of the most talented offensive linemen in the country with Armella coming in. But Armella is going to bring that kind of attitude, that chippiness that you're starting to see in a lot of these offensive linemen that are coming. You get more of some angrier, kind of just, hurtful guys up there in the trenches. But Armella is kind of going to bring more of a, I think, alpha kind of personality that this offensive line hasn't had. I can't think of a player, in the past couple of years out of Florida State's offensive line where I think, damn, that is an alpha. That's a mean guy. Really, I would think Dante Lucas, it didn't work out well, and there are still things that he needed to fix, just with him and, off the field and just things of his own personality. But I've not had like a mean guy up there in the front in a while, and I think they're bringing in some guys, and I think Armella is probably going to, just be the icing on top there. So we'll see. But if it don't work this year and things aren't, getting better and better, then I don't know, but I do believe in Coach Atkins right now.
Oh, man, I guess I'm hosting the show still. Man, I just wind you guys up. You guys usually roll through for about 60 minutes.
Who's that?
Oh, my bad. I didn't realize.
Oh, Mark.
Okay.
Mark.
Talk about the article, Jason.
Which article?
Man, Logan kind of hinted toward it. If it don't work out here, that's like he teed you up for your article, bro.
I mean, I was gonna let Mr. Mark Rogers, the voice of college football, do it. So if he wants
Jason, as usual, has done a fine job throughout the day in serving up some topics that could be some interesting things to dive into. One would be something that was released. What was the publication of the platform that fine article was on about hot seat
It was
coaches in college football?
Well, it was 24/7 Sports posted an article talking about coaches on the hot seat, coaches, who in both Group of Five and Power Five programs who were on the hot seat. And this came out a couple days ago, and one of the names mentioned was the man that Logan is the president of his fan club, Mike Norvell, the head football coach at Florida State University.
I'm a fan club.
You're the president of his fan club. So
not even.
I guess my question, I'll serve it up to both these gentlemen first. Let's start with the man who lettered for Florida State football, James Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Norvell, this is year 3. The numbers are what they are, 8-13 record as a head coach. He's got a top 5 win over North Carolina, has a win over Miami, also has arguably the most embarrassing loss in program history against Jacksonville State. So entering year 3, is Mike Norvell in the hot seat?
No.
All right, why?
He'll get 4.
Not?
He'll get 4 years minimum. Probably 5. Because all right, you asking so James Coleman opinion or James Coleman 5th quarter or Sports Den James? Which one would you like?
We got 40 minutes. We can do both. Let's go for it. I want both.
James Coleman, letterman at Florida State, does not like getting rid of coaches. Does not like having a turnstile of coaches. I believe in giving coaches an opportunity. You get 3 to 4 years so that you can be able to firmly say that these are your guys. I would say 4 because he could argue that last cycle, and this cycle, he couldn't get as many of his high school guys because he needed to go get more portal guys, doing what most politicians do, blaming the last administration as much as feasibly possible. But he has my support. I think he should get that. And I also think Mike's a good dude off the field. Now, James Coleman, Sports Den, sarcastic a-hole that he may be, if I am to believe, I think I've started that off with many times on the Mark Rogers show, everything that has been written from last offseason to during the season from a bunch of people who have covered sports, covered me, for that matter, and I have seen them write about a legend in a manner in which was not admirable or nice when he was on the downturn. I've seen nothing but fluff pieces. I think Mike has been treated unfairly in the media, not the way that other people. I think he's been treated unfairly because there has been no bias and there has been no measurable metric that somebody can truly look at that matters. Wins and losses. But the fact that how it's been written is that you are blind if you cannot see a noticeable improvement on a team that only won 5 games. So I'm blind as Stevie Wonder. Or I think Stevie Wonder can see, and maybe I'm the only one who can see. Because at the end of the day, you do not have an $18 million buyout. You do not pay a coach $5 million, over $5 million a year in the past. Now Mario's getting what, 9?
8.
And doesn't matter. So I'm saying now but we're paying Mario Cristobal, we're paying new age college coach money for 8 wins. We fired a guy for 8 wins. Now we're bringing a guy in and we're saying it's better when it's not. And what stings worse is that in that second year of tag, he got fired abruptly and they still made a bowl game. And we had an athletic director come out and say 6-6 is not the standard. The expectation is to win championships. And now you got guys on podcasts of a guy who argued with my dear Mark Rogers friend Zach Smith, where you're saying boosters told you it's acceptable to lose because you said we were going to lose. In what freaking world do winners say this? When has it ever been acceptable to lose at Florida State? Because it damn sure wasn't acceptable for the guy who built your program that you unceremoniously wrote hit pieces about and boosted out, ushered him out for a guy named Jimbo Fisher who left you too. That's Sports Den James. 5th quarter James just says this. At the end of the day, you're judged by wins and losses. You are what you are. You are what your record dictates. So if he does not go to a bowl game with 8 wins next year, he should be fired. But that would say the same thing. That James would say the same thing about a Florida coach, would say the same thing about a Miami coach, would say the same thing about a Georgia coach or anybody else. The standard is winning. You can't change the standard because it fits your narrative. Florida State is a big time job, not because we win. I don't ever, there's not a moment in my existence where we ever won 3 games. There's not a moment in my existence where we ever won 5 games. And the roster is, while it may not be a championship level roster, the roster is not that bad. And if it is that bad, who now can we point to? Who brought these mofos in? It's only one person at this day. You had unlimited cuts because there is no APR. You had unlimited transfer people that don't have to sit out. And you had all the scholarships that you could with an increase in your recruiting budget. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, Mike is, as much as I like Mike, just got to get it done. That's why I always tell people ain't nobody getting fired, because you can't say people need to be fired and at the same time saying you'll be blind if you don't notice that we've gotten better. It's either you got better or you didn't get better. If you didn't get better, make fires. Fire your assistant coaches, do things like that. If you got better, how can you fire anybody if you got better? It's a lot of talking out the ass, but excuse me. A lot of talking out the bottom.
That one, I think that one's allowed on YouTube.
You're allowed 1 word per show. We allow.
Oh, okay, all right, cool. My bad. My fault. My bad. But that was my opinions on those things. 3 different takes. I'm sure there'll be a message board somewhere.
All right. Logan,
someone will tweet about it.
Someone
will clip it.
Logan, go ahead and defend Mike now. Go ahead.
Go ahead and do my defending. Mike is amazing and should never be fired. There you go. There's my take, Jason. Since Jason said I was number 1 cheerleader. But no.
Legitimately, I noticed over the course of last season you were a little bit more critical when you did. So my question is, like we said, James said his record is what it is. Obviously, there was some improvement last season over the year before, but that being said, it wasn't the Florida State standard. Is he on the hot seat? We're not calling for him to say he should be fired right away, but is he on the hot seat entering the season?
I don't think entering into the season, no. Could it be mid-season on the hot seat when you start off like you did last season? Absolutely. But, then there's also the thought of, well, if you fire him, where are you going to get the money to go get another coach? That's what that's what the position Florida State is in. That's what the tough part is. But, my big thing whenever I was critical of him and talking about him was the start of 0-4. You have a really great game against Notre Dame, and then you flop against Jacksonville State. So what I'm thinking is, he's lost the locker room. Something happened. Something's not there. The team is too young or immature. Something's still going on in the locker room where we thought that he was fixing this off during the offseason and got rid of some guys, told some guys to move on to the league, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, something isn't working right. I was the complete opposite against Notre Dame. I was tweeting out, I think Florida State has found its coach, bright future ahead, but 0-4. But then after that 0-4, things start turning around and go on a 5-3 run, and compete in some games where you probably shouldn't have really been competing in. They were doing great against Clemson, who I still think wasn't a great team last year, but was doing the best they could, and then competed down the stretch, at least won one of the rivalry games. Because if that wasn't the case and Florida State continued to just have this awful streak of beating rivals, that was awful. And I also don't think it was great ending off the season too, losing to Florida with a team that didn't have its head coach there, and also didn't have a fully operating starting quarterback with Emory Jones and all the things that he was giving away to you left and right, and still couldn't take advantage of. And Jordan Travis wasn't fully healthy. So just to say it straight up, I don't think he's on the hot seat heading into this upcoming season now.
I'm going to disagree slightly with you, because I think
I thought you said that before we started going live.
Hold on. I think you can be on the hot seat, but I'm not calling for him to be fired. And Mark and I have talked about this before. Mark and I agree, and James I think agrees with both Mark and I on this one. You should get a minimum of 3 years. That was my problem with Willie Taggart being fired, is that he was not given his 3 years. And I said that no matter what, Mike Norvell's record for his first 2 seasons, which, let's be honest, was worse through 21 games than Willie Taggart. That's not saying one coach is better than the other or whatnot. It's just facts. 8 wins or less than 9 wins. That he should still be given a 3rd win this season. That being said, with all the expectations that Florida State had, with all the expectations going into last season about how 2020 was the pandemic year. Let's forget 2020 is the pandemic year. It was a weird year for everything. Let's move on into this new season. And Logan is 100% correct. You come out great against Notre Dame on national TV. Thank you, Beacon Shine. I appreciate it. You come out great against Notre Dame on national TV, and then you lay an egg with the worst loss in program history the following weekend. I feel like he has to be on the hot seat entering this season. That's why I'll say it like this. The most important game for Florida State is that LSU game. And I am thankful to God that we are not opening the season with LSU. Thank you, Beacon Shine. I appreciate it. That is the most important game of the season, because our biggest problem last year was starting off the year with Notre Dame and then going to Jacksonville State. I'm not saying we would beat Notre Dame if we had started off the year with Jacksonville State, but who knows? We may have been at least 1-1 and not 0-2 to start the season. Starting off this season with Duquesne, getting what, God, I hope, please don't lose to another FCS team, getting a win in that opening game before you go to LSU on that Sunday night is going to be the most important thing. Because if we can go to New Orleans, get a win against an LSU team that finished 6-7 last year. Yes, Brian Kelly's coming in, but they're going to be it's a new coach, new team, and whatnot for him. If we can go to New Orleans and get a win there, that will go so far into turning things around over the course of the season. I'm not saying we'll win 10 games. I'm not even saying we'll win 9 games. But I think at that point, if you can go 2-0 to start off that season, I think a lot of pressure will get taken off of him. So if you're asking, do I think he's on the hot seat? Yes. Does that mean I think he should be fired? No. There's a big difference between the two. But you cannot say that a coach who is 8-13 in his first 2 seasons is not on the hot seat.
I think that's for us thinking rationally and talking rationally, but nothing about the last 3 coaching searches. The way the last 3 coaches have entered or ended has been rational. It hasn't been. There has been no true agenda and no real purpose behind it. And it's not the fault of Mike Norvell. It's the fault of the only thing that's been consistent since Bowden, and that's the admin. And that's where the most important hire of the last, I'll say even the last decade, has been in the taking of one Mike from Seminole Boosters and placing him as the athletic director. We have a permanent athletic director, which is the only time you should ever fire and hire a coach is when you know you have a president and athletic director that would at least be able to see those guys through, because they have vested interest, and you hire people who have a skill set in doing that. So I do believe that that Mike will be able to go out and do whatever is necessary. But I also I believe he's also going to be fiscally responsible because of how Tag was fired. Right, wrong, and different. I agree with Jason, Mark. You don't fire any coach before 3 years, before 3 recruiting classes. Excuse me. Give them 3 recruiting classes. But neither here nor there, it didn't happen. A lot of people, in their defense, in the articles that they write, they aren't articles that again, I've always asked, what tangible metric are we rating us getting better on? Defensively, we did jump leaps and bounds. But the only tangible metric that matters is wins and losses. Based upon everything that was written, what Logan just said, what he thought shouldn't have even been a thought. As kumbaya-ish, as this is the closest I've ever been to people, as we're getting coach, as all of these sayings get said, it doesn't translate to the field. And it's not just that. It doesn't translate when the S hits the fan, which is the bigger part of it. Even Notre Dame in the loss, which was I hate good losses, but it was an admirable loss. The team played up. You did not make a key stop. You did not make a key play when it was necessary. Jacksonville State, everybody wants to blame Fuller. I get it. All you got to do is get a pass interference call and the game is over, because they're going to have to do another Hail Mary. All you got to do is make a play. There were 3 guys in position to make a tackle. Adversity hit, they folded. All the games. Now, Syracuse, they were able to make it. They were able to pull themselves out of it. But a good team, a team that has character, a team that truly takes and embodies the mentality of a coach is one that handles adversity a lot better. You can do Which is why I joke and say they're not doing real mat drills. Real mat drills has made you handle adversity. Like you knew it. When you gotta dive and do agility drills and a teammate's throw up, you're gonna figure out how to get through some stuff. And again, one day I can take some civilians through a mat drill so that you can see what it was really, really like for your favorite team. But I don't think I have the heart to truly take somebody through what those guys put us through. But I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. And number two, what could also make it a lot easier and more digestible for guys like me, because again, I've gotten a chance to know a lot of these coaches off field, talk to them, seen practices, seen stuff like that. Good men. But damn, let my coach die. Let him lie in his grave with his flowers like he's meant to do. You got, not you guys, but people, you fans compare everything Mike Norvell does to Bobby Bowden except for winning. It is annoying. You are comparing a guy who we want to be good to the all-time winningest coach in NCAA history. That's how we pick on Miami fans. We pick on Florida fans. For 40 years, we picked on Georgia fans for being delusional. That is the epitome of delusion. To compare a guy who ain't even 500 at your school to a guy who is one of the great. Saban's the greatest now. I have to say that. No. But before that, listen, the rings mean something. But before that, he was clearly the greatest coach of all time. Like we have to be able to command more. But that being said, they ain't firing him. They're gonna give him every chance to fail, and I think that's not wrong. But I do think what we need to start doing is looking at what rivals and what the college landscape is actually doing. We do have the money. If we don't, we better have the money because $9 million is the new calling card for a coach in today's game. Unless you want to continue, unless you've made your bet and you're okay with hiring a group of 5 coaches every time they come up. But the reality is, if Mike Norvell's not it, you got to go make a splash hire. You've not only got to do that, you've got to have the money to be able to bring in the staff that is going to take, which is basically the same amount of money as you're going to have to pay your head coach. You're going to have to collectively pay your staff. And you need to invest in the off-field staff, period. You've got to be able to get your recruiting ramped up. You've got to be able to go out here and do simple things like that I've mentioned, that actually some of these things are free, but obviously somebody over there isn't smart enough to realize it, that, pick up the phone, call an alum. Like, one gripe I have, I coached at a school here in Jacksonville called Mandarin High School. There's a couple kids that won at Mandarin High School. Do you know the coach they contact consistently at Mandarin High School is a Hurricane fan? Big time Hurricane fan from Miami. And that's the guy they coach. That's the guy they go see. That's the guy they talk to. Not the alumni. They talk to the guy who has, now he'll put the kid in the best position. But again, and that's not a real, I don't hold that against him. I'll see him when I see him. But at the end of the day, that's not playing smart ball. Who are the kids going to ask about coming to Florida State? The UM guy or the guy who went there? Miami, chock full of FSU alumni. The city. A lot of them play. We got Lake Gibson. No, is it Lake Gibson? Excuse me. No, it's not. There's a coach in Central Florida in Polk County who's got a 5-star running back. Man, that kid would have every drip of Florida State. I'd give him that cool ass sweatshirt that Mike Norvell wears all the time off my back to get him here. It's working smarter, not harder. I like, again, they're doing some good things, but yo. I think he needs more support off field, and that's where the admin has to step up. But I don't think he's getting fired.
Mark,
hot seat means you get fired.
Mark, I apologize. One of the 3 James Coleman showed up there for a second, so I need to pause for 1 second because we're past the halfway point. I apologize. Logan, I know this is what you do. I apologize. Do it real quick. Give us the condensed version. Go.
Hit the like button because I don't know how many likes we're at right now. I don't know if Mark knows, but hit the like button because there's all 4 of us here. This is a reunion. It took a little while, but now heading into 2022, we're all back together, at least for one, maybe
Right.
once a month, we'll all be able to do this, but
We're
we're
like-
all
we're like-
on here together. There's better takes. Even TDANDH777 said that he thought this was going to be good, and he said it's now unwatchable. So shout out to him. Definitely appreciate you coming on here.
Damn, I was that bad.
Yeah,
No, you were good. No, he's probably a Gator or Cane, so he can't understand big words, like words with more than 2 syllables.
90% of the
a lot of big
viewers.
words, so that's why.
Yeah, 90% of the viewers, as we know, are Miami fans. Really
41
90%.
likes.
41
By the way,
likes. We can get that
41.
to 75. We'll get to 75 before we get off of here,
By the way,
guys.
can I take one more shot at Miami real quick, if I'm allowed for a moment? If I could. Real quick.
I'm looking up his account, so go ahead and do that because I want to see if he's
just
a
a real
Miami
quick
fan.
shot at Miami, because Miami fans are down here. You've got a few more months where you have to live with the fact that we own you in every single major sport. Just remember, when you sit there and say, "Oh, well, Florida State sucks, Florida State sucks, Florida State sucks," we still beat you. You don't even own your own city anymore. We own the city of Miami. We own the state of Florida. Well, except for Gainesville at this moment, but we own you guys down here. I can walk around in my Florida State stuff, and you can't say anything to me because you can't beat us this year. Maybe next year, maybe next football season, maybe you will. But for right now, you can't. You hear that, Miami? You guys suck.
Yeah, I like that. Hit the like button. 192 viewers on the night. What?
They came for James.
That's nice.
They're here for James. They're here for
Damn.
James. He brought the smoke.
Okay.
He brought that smoke.
Okay, I like it. I know we got all of us on here. This is phenomenal talent.
Mark, please stop interrupting us so much, okay? I mean, we're sitting here trying to get our points across.
It's just natural for me to take over and just, slap everyone aside and go to it.
Mark, what are your thoughts? Legitimate question. You're somebody who's covered sports. You've covered a lot of this stuff. Would you consider Mike Norvell to be on the hot seat this season?
I would make an evaluation at the end of every season to say, okay, it starts with a win-loss record, but as we've talked about on here, I'm not all about the win-loss record. Ultimately, I am, but when in evaluating a coach who's supposed to be building a program and lifting it out of what it's been, I think it goes beyond that. And I'm sitting here looking at the schedule from 2021, looking at the game results and thinking, okay, I watched most of those games, and it was a very uneven performance. Which is what you would get out of a 5-7 team. So that Notre Dame game, I watch games on Saturday, and especially for a program like Florida State and a coach like Mike Norvell, where he's not a proven commodity, I'm constantly thinking, does this team look prepared? Is the coaching staff making adjustments? Do they look like they've got a reasonable game plan? Does the team look like they're fired up and inspired and want to hit people? Are they checking all the boxes of what you would expect of a top-rate ACC team? Yes, against Notre Dame. Notre Dame turns out to be an 11-1 football team. Yeah, Florida State played a great game. Then the Jacksonville State game was obviously a debacle and an embarrassment. And then they kind of sleepwalk through the next few games. The Wake Forest game, the thing that stands out about that Wake Forest game, and I think that was our first experience with this offense is built for Jordan Travis, and he runs it the best. And when they get a transition, either they choose to transition to Mackenzie Milton, or because Travis is banged up, they go to Milton, and it doesn't work now. It's not the same skill set. It just is not working. He can't take it over. He can't run around and make plays by himself. And I think that was a huge factor in last season. But I'm not going to go through the entire schedule. But there were games where I thought, okay, this program's making a major stride. And after what we saw against Notre Dame, I was let down the next 4 or 5 weeks because, man, if they don't pull that game out, to James' point, against Syracuse, 0-5, I was thinking this might be the end of the line for him. They may keep him around for the rest of the season, but, man, if they can't beat Syracuse and they go to 0-5, but they fortunately pulled it out. The Clemson game was the game that I thought, to Logan's point again, Clemson wasn't Clemson, but they're pretty darn good. That's one of the 10 or 15 best teams in the country, even at their lessened offensive state. And Florida State looked like I thought I was watching a legitimate Florida State Clemson game. Like I thought we just went back 5 years, and sure, it wasn't great. They weren't 1-2 or anything like that, but it was a legitimate game where I was like, Florida State physically looks like they belong in this game. and they are playing Clemson to the last minute here. And so I was impressed with that effort. And then for the rest of the season, again, it was a bit uneven. They played well at Boston College, almost let them off the hook, but dominated for the first 3 quarters. And so they need to bring that Notre Dame, Clemson, first 3 quarters against BC. I've probably missed a few spots there. The Miami game, of course. That was impressive considering they hit Miami in the mouth. Miami counter punch with like 19 straight points. And then Florida State comes back and closes it out. That's impressive against a good football team, a talented team, not a great team, but a team that's better than its 7-5 record. So they had about 4 performances where I was like, man, they're making major strides.
Along those lines, though, I will say this, and this is kind of playing the other side of the devil's advocate argument. For those people who have said this, we won't mention any names, Logan Robinson, Noel Game Day, who have said over the course of last season, look how close we were in those losses. And you look at it, the Notre Dame was a 3-point loss. The Florida game was a 3-point loss. As much as I hate to say it, the Jacksonville State game was a 3-point loss. So you look, each one of those games were 1 possession away from possibly being an 8-win team. On the flip side of that, Miami was a 3-point win. Boston College was a 3-point win. Syracuse was a 3-point win. We're also 3 possessions away from being a 2-10 team. So my argument will come back to, yes, I get the wins and losses factor. I understand that. But were we really all that much better last season as a whole than we were the year before? I'm not going to sit there, and that's my concern heading into this upcoming season. And we can talk a little bit before we go here about what the schedule might look like next season as it comes out on Monday. My concern is at that point is, are we really that much drastically better at this point? I don't think we are a drastically better team. That's why, as much as I hate to say it, the FSU alumni meeting makes me want to vomit when I say this. I would be happy with a 7-win season next year. Hell, I'd be happy to be 6-6 and be bowl eligible at this rate. That's my concern, is that we are not that much better than that 3-6 team than being the 3-6 mafia that we were in 2020.
Still waiting for your shirts, Jason.
Yeah.
Get it for me. I'll rock it.
I can't. If that's the case, which is very, very good points, Jason, then, I don't think he'll be fired, but he'll be we definitely won't see any staff changes because nobody's going to come unless guys leave. But you'll know that 4th year would be a dead man walking. And the reason why, and here's the scary part, is when we look at 2020, the 2020 schedule was a COVID schedule, which wasn't difficult for our ACC thing. Shouldn't have gone 3-6. Ended up having to forfeit a couple games because of COVID, but it wasn't a tough schedule. I don't care what anybody says. Historically, for Florida State's played tougher. Last year's schedule, we thought the run we thought was going to be more difficult ended up not being as tough as it really was. Clemson was the only true tough opponent. What I want to see from Mike Norvell is, if I'm going, and what I never saw from Taggart, what we saw from Jimbo, and it worked out for Jimbo, because the funny thing is Jimbo might not have known he was on the hot seat, but Jimbo had those 2 mediocre years before he finally won the ACC, and everybody's like, Bobby could have done this. We could have kept the old man and done mediocre, and then he would have eventually woke up probably like Joe Pop. But I need to see Mike. If you're gonna win your way. If you're gonna get fired your way. I believe this, and I'm not calling him out for it, but this is what happened. We saw a drive make us believe in the Disney movie, because we were trying to be like Clemson. Clemson got that Disney movie that just came out. That's what we were trying to be with Mackenzie Milton. And he's tremendous. I'm glad he's walking. I didn't see him playing the Hula Bowl. Did he play? Or not Hula Bowl, whatever that bowl was. I hope he played well. I don't know what happened. I haven't seen any clips. Haven't seen anything. But one of my goals this year is not to look at any of the tour of duty drills and not to make any comments, especially the Benson kid. Because, boy, Mark, you should have seen those guys get on me when I said that dude is not healthy. You got all that from a 2-second clip? You got all that, and then I had to remind people, yo, I know people know the fullback. I'm not as swift or as athletic looking as I once was. But how I make a living is through training people, in particular, rehabbing knees. So I've seen about 500 people come off of knee injuries, and that wasn't a good look when he was driving and accelerating. And what we saw was when the game came in, we saw Mackenzie Milton take over a drive and score. You know, Corbin scored on that drive, I believe it was a Ward. Anyways, it was a run that Jordan Travis drove us down for half of it. We fell in love. I say we I didn't, but we fell in love with the story. And then that story translated to Jacksonville State, and you started a quarterback that was a national championship contender that lost to an FCS school. The same FCS school that we found out about Jordan Travis because we almost lost to him the year before. It's crazy. Like if I'm Mike at this point and I look at my 8-13 record, I'm looking at who in the hell gave me my 8 wins. Oh, it's Jordan Travis. So much so that the guy who doesn't really follow Florida State but is the voice of college football, Mark Rogers, can see this offense runs through 13. Maybe we should just stop not putting 13 out there. Take my chances. Like, I've only won 8 games, and 13 was the quarterback all 8 of them. And what happens is you start building rapport because there's nothing more difficult, especially when they're 2 different types of quarterbacks. You got a scrambling quarterback that's 6'2", and you got a midget quarterback that can't run. My bad. A little person in KZ because he's shorter than me. The trajectory of the ball is 2 different things. It's not the NFL where you're paid to catch. You hope that the guys catch because they're on a high level. But when a short quarterback is throwing it, let me see if I got my hand right. The ball goes up like this. When a taller quarterback is throwing it, the ball comes down. It's 2 different ways you got to look at it. And when you mix it up in the same damn game, do you understand how difficult and how confusing that is when you're trying to already get guys to buy into stuff? So if Jordan Travis is your quarterback, all of those games, you got a running game that's going around it, and teams have to truly break down and game plan for him. They might be better. Now, the wild card is how good is Verse? Is Verse Jermaine Johnson good? Or is he Cushion? Or whatever the dude, Cushion, or whatever the guy's name was. Because if he's the Cushion guy, I'm terrified. If he's Jermaine Johnson, decent, like even if he's anything better than Cushion, then we'll be all right. But I think those are the things that people got to realize. Like, you know, it's a make or break thing. And this offseason, and I think this is the first offseason they'll have where it's truly they have more control. You can go to the chow hall. You can go to the weight room. You don't have to. They're not kicking people out because of COVID protocols anymore. You know, now you have control over everything.
Well, Mark has left us for a little bit. So before we go, real quick, the schedule comes out Monday. ACC will release the schedule at 7 o'clock. We already know Florida State's first 2 opponents, Duquesne on the 27th of August, and then LSU on Sunday, September 4th. I'll be in New Orleans for that one. Guys, come out and join us in New Orleans for that one. And then we know the last 2 games are Louisiana and Florida on November 19th and November 26th. So, James, I'm going to start with you. Florida State's first ACC opponent. Who is it going to be? Give me your prediction. You called it in 2020 when you said it would be Georgia Tech. Who's it going to be?
Well, I called that because I was cheating.
I probably, but still.
Syracuse.
Syracuse on the road. Okay, so you think we're up on the ACC?
Oh, my bad. No, wait a minute. Yeah, I'll go with Syracuse. I'll go on the road.
Syracuse on the road. Okay, Logan, who you got?
You go you're home and then you go away. I think you go back home. I'm gonna say Georgia Tech.
You like Georgia Tech at home. So Georgia Tech.
We play Georgia Tech again.
We play Georgia Tech at home next year. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I think Georgia Tech at home. For some reason, I feel that one. Which I would rather have them early.
Exactly. I'm gonna go out on a weird one here. I'm gonna get a little weird here for a second.
Again, wild.
Get a little weird and wild. Now remember, since we're playing in week 0, that means we get 2 bye weeks this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think after the LSU game, I think we're going to have a bye week.
True.
Playing that Sunday, and I think we get the bye week. And I think our first ACC game is going to be on September 17th against Wake Forest at home. I think it's going to be Wake Forest defending Atlantic Division champions. I think they want get them out of the way early. I think Wake Forest will step down a little bit this year, so I think the Florida State Wake Forest.
Okay.
Wake Forest quarterback coming back?
Wake Forest coming back, Logan?
I believe
Come
so.
on, you're no
I believe
game
so.
Day. You're no game day. You're the number 2 source for Florida State athletics behind Seminoles.com.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
Let's see. I believe so. I don't think this was his last. And I think he's got, Sam should have.
That's tough.
Yeah, he's coming back next season. So
Okay.
yeah, that's a little tough. That's a little tough scenes. But Florida State's defense is supposed to be.
That's fine. Does Florida State play Miami in October, like it should traditionally be played in the middle of the season?
I hope so. I didn't like it.
Or is the ACC going to screw us over again like they did and have us in November?
You mean the last few years?
Well, it's.
Because remember, Tag got fired after Halloween.
2nd, though. That was the first week of a 5-week November. At least this was not the
Gotcha.
the last time. So. What do you think?
I think they're going to try to stay on FSU's good side. They're going to try to make them a little bit more happier these next couple of seasons, so then they don't go join the SEC mega conference. So I'm just saying, optimistically, it'll be on the regular October time frame. I'm hoping for, because I didn't like this. Everything was, I just didn't like the layout of this schedule as
James?
I think they're going to go October.
What's that?
I think it'll be October.
Okay.
October. Okay. That's Monday. That's Monday night.
Monday night, 7:00, ACC Network. Make sure you watch it, and then make sure Wednesday at 6:00 you're back here with Mark Rogers, voice of college football, Logan Robinson, the voice of Nole Game Day, Jason Parker, the voice of NBC6, James Coleman, one of 3 voices. I don't know which James Coleman's going to show up. If he comes back, James, we want you back.
Shit, I don't know which James is showing up either. Kind of just rumbles in my head.
Okay, one
it's
James
part of CTE.
That's fine. One James shows up.
Oh no! Well, not AB. You don't got ABs though.
I don't think AB. AB is
AB's got his own.
Like I saw the Brian Gumble thing, and the way he smiled, I was like, "Yeah, he might be telling the truth, but he's crazy. That smile is crazy.
Oh, he's wild."
So before we go, Logan and James predictions. NFL championship weekend. Who you got? Logan, go.
What is this? San Fran and Rams. I'm going Rams for the second. I think Cam Akers will bounce back and Jalen will be fine. I love everybody ripping on Jalen and everything, man. It's been locked down this whole season.
Because he gave up the 155-yard bomb?
Yeah, he had one slip up. He's a human. It's shocking. He's supposed to be locked down on every play, but he's human. And then I like the Rams on that one, because I don't even know how the 49ers even in this. I couldn't name more than 5 players over there. And then what's the next one? I completely Chiefs and Bengals. Yeah, I hate that Kansas City is so good, but I think it's going to be the Chiefs again. I don't think their offensive line for the Bengals isn't going to be able to hold up to take care of Joe Burrow. I think it was a great, awesome story, cool stuff, good for Joe Burrow and everything. That's awesome. Jameis still a better quarterback than you in college. But anyways, go. I'm not going to say go Chiefs, but Chiefs got it.
James, obviously your Jaguars aren't in it. Who you got?
Whoa.
I know.
Jeez.
I covered the Jaguars.
You covered
not a Jaguars fan. But I just want to make that out there. But it's going to be the Rams Chiefs. Very easy. The Bengals are better than what people give them. I couldn't think of T. Higgins' name earlier, but when you guys was at Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, man, that's dirty, man.
Auden Tate's back now too.
Yeah, that's dirty. But the problem is that Miko Hartman, who will be a number 1 anywhere else, Ty Hill is probably going to be. He's going to be a Hall of Famer guy. He's what we want AB to be right now. That's just what he is. And then Kelsey's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer at tight end. And what's great, add Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back, who is the perfect running back for their system.
Yeah.
And it's the craziest thing about their offense, which I know a lot of people don't know what this stuff means. I know you hear me talking. My bad. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
House.
My bad. I don't know who that was, but we got option routes. That every one of those wide receivers runs, and those option routes have 3 choices that they can pick. Now, how the hell a defense stops it, let alone how Pat Mahomes knows where they're going, is even crazier with a quarterback that can advance a play or make a play last 6 seconds longer because he's going to run up, down, side, jump over somebody, duck under somebody's. I don't even know how he has the energy. But then the Rams, strictly because Jalen Ramsey's the GOAT. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Everybody gets beat once. Deion Sanders, what people don't know, Deion Sanders got drugged by the Detroit Lions by a white wide receiver. But he's still Deion Sanders. And that dude just had to happen to have a good day. And nobody knows that guy's name.
And it's a really good wide
Nobody
receiver.
knows his name. Mike Evans is not a bad wide receiver.
No.
The goal is to win a football game, right? At the end of the day. And they won it. And I want to cover Jalen in the Super Bowl when I go out to LA this year. So it'll be great.
For the sake of NBC's viewership, since Super Bowl 56 is on NBC this year, I'm going to say Rams Chiefs because I can't. A Bengals Super Bowl would kill our viewership.
Yeah. No, Rams Chiefs. That's viewers, and plus you get the Rams inside their stadium too. So.
And before Logan kills our viewership, we're going to say goodbye here. We're going to see you guys next week here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
I guess we just leave. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think.
Bye. I'm going to push the X button.
All right.
See you, James.
Bye, y'all.
Logan,
Adios.
take it easy.
Take it easy, Jason.